Hi there, welcome to Bible for the Busy Woman with me, Melissa Younger. Today we're going to be talking about the book of James, and we're going to be looking at the first 4 verses specifically, and we're going to give ourselves a little bit of background and introduction to help us understand this book. So James is writing to the 12 tribes in the dispersion. We learned this in verse 1. And basically what that means is that the Jewish people who had become Christians were now dispersed and spread out because of persecution. And so he's writing to them kind of like general statements. You know, he's not addressing one specific church. We think the most likely candidate is James, Jesus' brother, who is the author of this book. And what he does in the first chapter is basically he sets up the rest of the book. He's going to give you kind of a snapshot of everything he's going to talk about and introduce the topics which he'll later develop. So you might see that the verses don't all connect with one another. He's just going to jump from topic to topic, and he does that throughout the book. And how we can take that is in a way that he's kind of showing us some wisdom, some general wisdom, rules for living, as you will, if you will, as a Christian. And those rules are going to help people to understand in their day and in ours how to live for Christ. Let's just read through the first 4 verses together and see what wisdom we can glean from these. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes in the dispersion. Greetings. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. Okay, so he's starting off his letter. He addresses them directly, and then he says, count it joy when you meet trials. So they were probably facing all kinds of persecution. And today we have trials in our lives too, right? And he's saying to consider them joy. So this is not the usual message, like, I'm so sorry for everything you're going through. It's like, you know, in your situation, in your terrible situation, count it joy. And the reason for that is because he gives in verse 3, which is that when our faith is tested in those difficult circumstances, it's going to prove that we're steadfast. It's going to prove that our faith is firm, that it has a good foundation. And then what that leads to in verse 4, let steadfastness have its full effect, that it may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing, that we are going to be made perfect. We're going to be sanctified slowly by these testing times. We can compare James 1:2 to the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus says, Matthew chapter 5, verse 11, blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. So there's this joy in being persecuted and facing these hardships, and the reason that Jesus gives there is because all the good people were persecuted, right? All the prophets. And so you're in good company, and we can know that our reward is in heaven, that God is seeing, and he's going to reward us in the end. So I guess my encouragement to you today would just be, God is with you in whatever trials that you are facing right now, in whatever difficult situation you might find yourself. And you can have joy in that situation, knowing that God is with you, knowing that even though your faith is being tested, that you can stand firm, that you can trust in God, that he has your best interest in mind, that he does care for you deeply. You know, evil exists, sin exists, there's going to be difficulties and hardships that we face in this life. We really can trust that God is with us and caring for us. So I hope that's encouraging for you today. Let's stay in the Word and seeking the Lord together.